Welcome to Pensacola Business Forum. I'm Fran Crumpton, host for this session, and our special guest is Tom McDowell. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Fran. Glad to be here. Good to be in Pensacola.
Good to have you here, yes. And to tell you a little bit more about our guest, Tom has been in the Barter business for over 30 years. He owned his own Barter company in Cleveland for over 27 years, sold it to a publicly traded company 5 years ago. Served 3 terms as president of the Barter Industry Association, 10 years on the board of directors, and 15 years as a executive director of the association. And he's now retired. He retired about 4 years ago. But during the time he owned his own Barter company, his clients traded over $150 million worth of products and services. Some of his most memorable trades include a Rolls Royce, or about what, five
Rolls Royces.
Yeah. Several boats, more than 100 motorcycles, and the ATX Barter building, and a funeral. So interesting. For our viewing audience, tell us a little bit more about some of these trades.
Okay. Well, you know, Fran, it's interesting in the barter business, and I always like to say, in barter, if you can imagine it, you can trade for it.
That's a good slogan.
And a lot of the things that we were able to do were really because of the fact that we didn't have any restrictions in our minds of what couldn't be done. And so it was interesting because we found things like the Rolls Royces and the boats. We found that people that had toys got tired of their toys and they wanted to trade them and get new toys. So we were very successful in getting exotic cars. We had the Rollses. We had a Maserati. We had a limousine that belonged to the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was one of our clients that they traded. There were just a lot of different things that we were able to do. And I think probably one of the most interesting trades that we really ever did in the barter business was one that you put together, where we gave a young man from a 9/11 scholarship fund we'd put together a 4-year full scholarship to college.
I remember that.
And, you know, that was one that you worked with a couple of people on the board on. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing was that this young man could never have gone to college if it hadn't been for that scholarship. And I think the total value of it was $84,000. And the college traded the room, board, the tuition, his books, and best of all, Fran, I don't even know if you ever remember, he graduated with like a 3.9 ACUM.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
I remember when we got the letter from him saying that if it hadn't been for barter, he would never have been able to have gotten a college education because his parents just couldn't afford to send him to college. So it's amazing the different things that we've had an opportunity to do just by using a little bit of creativity and going out there and putting our imagination to work.
Very true. Well, as you said, if you can imagine it, you can trade for it. So that's a very good example.
That's for sure.
But for our viewing audience, you keep saying barter. For those who may not be familiar with the term, tell us exactly what this means.
Well, you know, it's interesting because we always kid people and say barter's the world's second oldest profession. And all of us know the oldest profession. But barter was originally what we used for money. There was no currency. So when I wanted to buy something, I had to take something of value, take it to the person that I wanted to trade with, offer it to them, give them something of value and get back in return. And that's where the old adage of, I have 3 pigs and I trade with you for 3 cows. And that works great as long as you need cows and I need pigs. And what happened was that became more and more cumbersome as time went on. And Caesar and the people, the ancient civilizations, finally realized they needed some way to do barter deals using a currency that was easier to haul around than it was to take the animals or the corn or whatever they happened to do. And as a result, money was invented. And if you think about money, money is really no different than barter. You're trading what you do to your employer. Your employer in turn gives you money. You in turn take that money and you trade it with merchants to acquire the things you want. Those merchants take it, they trade it with other merchants, and it just goes around and around.
Well, that's good, but what if you have something that I need, but I don't have anything that you want?
And you know what, Fran, that happens, as you and I know, every day, that people would love to barter, and as kids we did it with baseball cards, and girls probably traded clothing, things like that. Today we see it on the Craigslist that there's over 250,000 listings every week now in the barter section of Craigslist. And almost all of them will have a person that says, I have a Kawasaki 360 motorcycle and I'd like to trade that for a new Corvette. Well, that's great, but the chances of finding the guy that has the new Corvette who really wants a motorcycle are pretty slim. So, and that drops down even to the smaller level where people are trading, you know, today with all the gold and silver stores out there, a lot of people would like to trade jewelry and get more for it than the value that they get when it goes in to be melted down. But finding that direct trade and that match is really a hard thing to do, and it can take a long, long time and be very cumbersome for people to do that.
Makes sense, but what about, is barter just for businesses, or could it be for families and individuals?
Great question. You know, as you and I, having been in the barter business, and we were just talking prior to the show about how long we've been in this business, and I'm not going to share that with anybody.
Good.
But we've always been in the business to business end of barter, and we put businesses together, and it was great because barter provides businesses with new customers. It brings them people that were never their cash customers before, introduces it to them. The fact that they're doing business with other business people is a great source of referrals that brings them in a lot of additional cash business. And it's worked great. In fact, the Industry Association says that in today that we're doing almost $10 billion of commercial barter business through organized barter companies like Gulf Coast Trade Exchange.
Interesting.
That there are over, I think the last time I looked, they said there were about 400,000 businesses in North America that participate in organized barter. And a lot of those are businesses in the Fortune 500 that, you know, they have excess inventory or they have an obsolete product or whatever the case may be.
And they have barter divisions.
And they have a complete barter division to move that inventory.
Yeah.
And
now, I believe we have some graphics too, so if we could share those graphics maybe with our viewing audience. And what kinds of things do individuals or families typically trade?
All right. Well, you know, this is an interesting, the graphic that the viewers are looking at. These are two of the Rolls Royces that we traded for. And the red one in front is a Zimmer. Anybody that's a car buff is going to be familiar with Zimmer, but a lot of other people wouldn't be. So those are things that you can trade for. On the other half of the slide is a picture of our office building, which we built the entire building with contractors and vendors and suppliers that were part of the barter network. So everything from the time we purchased a shell with a dirt floor, from the concrete to this heating and air conditioning, the walls, the electrical, the carpet, everything in there, we were able to find businesses that were looking for new sales, and we were able to barter with them. So that's the type of thing that businesses can do. And of course, being in the barter business, we probably carry it a little further than the average client would, because they're thinking about their business and not ours. And so part of our goal in the barter industry is to get the clients to think barter and realize how much of an opportunity it can provide for them.
And
this, I love this slide. It's, and what it represents is exactly what we were talking about just a couple of moments ago, that in olden days, that's how commerce was transacted, is a guy would bring his cattle or his pigs or whatever the case would be and trade them in. And of course, as this implies, here's a cow, I'm buying a drink, I don't have anything smaller to get change. So when we found this slide, we thought this was really a great slide to convey to people what the old form of barter that everybody related to really was about. Okay? This is more the modern, this is the Craigslist type of a thing. I have a camera, you have a guitar. If I'm looking for a guitar and you're looking for a camera, we've got a great way of doing some business together. And what usually happens, and the reason that people barter as individuals, is they're no longer using something, or maybe they don't have a use for that particular item anymore, and they'd like to get something else to replace it. So this is a great slide and a great example to show people the opportunities they have to convert things that are just sitting around the house doing nothing into something of real value. This is an example of what a barter company does, and this is what Gulf Coast Trade Exchange does. It's what ATX does. It's what all the organized barter companies around the world do. And we act as a clearinghouse so that the clients can trade any type of product and service without having to trade directly with each other. So the idea here is that you can trade your antique chest and get a bicycle, but the chest won't go to the person with the bike. And one of the things that we always thought was great is people have so many talents and skills that just go to waste. And the one photo down there in the lower right-hand corner, how many people are great painters that would love to go out and turn that service into something else that they or their family could use, and barter really provides them with a great opportunity to do that.
Excellent. So what you're saying is that the benefit can be not only for businesses, but for individuals as well.
Barter is a great way for anybody to do business, whether it's an individual, a company. You and I trade stuff all the time. We trade our clients' products back and forth. We stopped today to see one of your clients that years ago sold a boat to one of my members in Cleveland. Yeah. So there's a perfect example of an item that he had that wasn't moving, that he was looking to move.
We tried on the local level to move the boat and trailer, and we had no interest. So we advertised, and your client, I guess he was custom
clothier
in Cleveland.
Yep.
He was interested, flew down, loved the boat, purchased it, shipped it back to Cleveland.
Shipped it back to Cleveland, and that boat's now riding in the waves of Lake Erie.
And your guy was happy, and my guy was happy.
Exactly.
So it was great. Well, how would this system work more for consumers?
Well, for years, we were all in the commercial end of the barter business, and we thought that, the consumer was a separate entity. We never quite understood how we were going to involve them in the program. And we used to have, as you probably do being on a main street, we would have people that would stop by and see our sign. and say, you know, I have a used car I'd like to trade. I have a motorcycle. I have this or that. And we really had no way to work with them. So what we did was, years ago, we talked about trying to find a way to involve consumers. And it was going to be very cumbersome because we didn't have this wonderful thing called the internet.
And hold that thought.
I will hold that thought.
Okay, I'm getting the signal. It's time for a break. Stay with us. We have more.
There are many reasons why businesses use the Gulf Coast Trade Exchange.
We've been able to generate a lot of cash business because they like the services that they get here with their trade account, and then they bring their friends and they refer us to other businesses.
The lifeblood of a business is not who you know, it's who you get to know, and we get to know a lot of new people through Gulf Coast Trade Exchange.
Improve your cash flow, improve your bottom line with the Gulf Coast Trade Exchange, 434-5278.
My name is Stelios Vatsalakis. 13 years ago, I started importing my own extra virgin olive oil from my home in Crete, Greece. There are two things to remember when you select in olive oil. What is quality? It is distinguished according to its acidity level. The acidity should be less than 0.8%. Acidity climbs with time, so make sure you have a good expiration date. Remember, low acidity and a good expiration date for freshness, both of which you will find in my olive oil. Shoreline Foods.
Hi, I'm Craig Downs. You've probably heard a lot about the economic claims associated with the BP oil spill. You probably haven't heard about the medical benefits settlement. We're here to help you at the Downs Law Group on the medical benefits settlement. Call us at 888-960-2055 or bpzoneclaim.com. Protect your rights, protect your family. Call us today. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mark Downey, a licensed broker in Alabama and Florida. When it comes to surveys and boundary determination, I don't take chances with just anyone. I call Mark Sweeney and Associates. And not just because we share the same name, more so because I know that my survey will be done professionally and on time, both of which are very important factors when navigating a closing for a client. Whether you need a simple survey or just want to know if your neighbor's fence is encroaching on your land, Sweeney is the team to call. Give them a call today.
Again, if you just tuned in, welcome to Pensacola Business